Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's not the best light right now, but I got a new Rick and Morty sweater. Fucking goated. And my girl got me some Rick and Morty socks, like a couple pairs, pretty dope. But that's not why I wanted to talk to you people today, although that is a valiant subject, Rick and Morty. I wanted to talk about paying to be tortured. Now, I'm not talking about BDSM and all that, although I may be if that's what you're into. I'm gonna first start off with video games because that's probably the easiest subject to dwell upon. Sorry, I'm trying to sound intellectual. Okay, so I'm going to give examples with my life. Throughout my life, and if you know any gamers or streamers and they've done this on stream and you see it constantly, gamers have this thing called rage quitting, or they have this thing called crashing the fuck out. When a gamer doesn't get their way, or when a gamer has been doing something for so fucking long and they lose or something doesn't go right, they tweak the fuck out. But you notice they still keep gaming. It's their biggest joy in life, gaming. Especially people who lose constantly, especially if you're not a hardcore gamer and you're just a regular gamer, you're going to get your ass whipped in this world. So I'm going to use a couple examples. The first example, because it's probably the most memorable for a lot of people, is Pokemon. Then I'm going to get into board games and card games and that other shit. Pokemon, right? I'll start with the video game Pokemon Emerald. Maybe some of you have played red, yellow, blue, green, leaf if you're in Japan and different whatever. So I'm playing this game called Pokemon, and at first when I played this game, if you've been watching my videos, you'll notice I did something called the Battle Pyramid. Now, the point of this Battle Pyramid is there are 7 levels of wild Pokemon everywhere and trainers. And they let you know what the wild Pokemon are going to be if you talk to one of the psychics outside or seers outside or something. It's like a little perk. But in this thing, you're in a maze. And the only reason it's a maze is because you only have a little bit of your screen. So let's say your little character's on a screen. There's like a circle around him where you can see the screen and then the rest of the screen is black. And every battle, you can see more and more of the screen. Somewhere in this level is a blue square because it's all squares. You're walking up and down squares. Somewhere out of like 100 squares, there's a blue square that advances you to the next level. A lot of times they put trainers around the squares. The trainers are extremely hard. This is the end of the game. Well, I was able to beat the Battle Pyramid without resetting and saving. I call it manipulating time. If you use emulators on video games, what you can do is you can save it on a number of save states, see what's going to happen, and then reset it and go from there. Well, on Pokemon, they have it to where at certain points, the AI in the game automatically is going to do that. So if I'm playing Pokemon and I throw a Pokemon out and they use Earthquake and I have a Metagross and they use a spell that's super effective against my Pokemon, I can reset the game if I saved it from the beginning of the battle. Or if I reset before they even throw the Pokemon out, it'll be different Pokemon each time. They'll recycle the different trainers' Pokemon, making it a lot easier if you have an impossible team. Well, I didn't really have to do that for the Battle Pyramid. At first, when I first played this game, I didn't know you needed to save your spells and do all this other stuff for the end game, so I got wrecked. I could only get to the silver medal. Well, when I came back and beat the game again like 2 years later, when I come back and do things after not doing it for a long time, it's fresh, it's new again, so I wasn't irritated. I could do all this stuff all over again. It was fun again. Well, that was the Battle Pyramid. Beat it. I made a video about it. Then I went to something called the Battle Pike. At the end of the game, there's something called Battle Frontier, and I think there's 6 buildings. And in these buildings, you do impossible tasks to get gold medals. Well, this all ties into being paid to be tortured. Well, if you played any of the Pokemon games, Emerald is one of the hardest games because of Battle Frontier. And if you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. There's generations of Pokemon, but the hardest game to fucking beat in its entirety is probably Emerald. From what I've played and known so far. They have a Battle Frontier in the next generation, Silver and Diamond, all that easy as shit. Oh my God. Nothing like this one. Okay, why is this important? When you go into the Battle Pike is about luck. What you do is you walk into the building and there's 3 doors. And each level you walk into one of these 3 doors. You either have the option of a submissive person that don't want to fight, so it's a free level. You have the option of walking into an old man or a nurse. They heal all your Pokemon, or a certain amount of Pokemon. You get 3 when you go in. Or it's a battle or a long journey where you walk through different phases, and it's wild Pokemon. The wild Pokemon's easy. You can one hit them if you have like a Shadow Ball or Earthquake or some shit like that, or a Metagross with Choice Band. I know you probably don't understand what none of that means, but just keep following along if you're not into Pokemon. Well, the point is, when you go into this Battle Pike and all the other arenas, your Pokemon are registered, the 3 Pokemon you're using. So they know exactly which Pokemon you're walking in with and all your spells. You walk into it and you face a hard trainer, right? This hard trainer you have a Metagross. For anybody that knows what I'm talking about. The hard trainer throws out a Blaziken. Why is this important? A Metagross is a steel psychic Pokemon. Those are its natures. You use psychic moves and steel moves. It can use other moves, but those are its stabs, the hardest moves. Well, this is why Battle Pike will throw out a Blaziken. And the Battle Pike, you can't change your Pokemon unless you're in battle. So once you change your Pokemon, you still they get a free hit on you. And if their Pokemon's faster than yours, it's 2 hits. Okay, why is this important? And why is this going to being paid to be tortured? One of the most best-selling Pokemon games now, I just had to research, this is Emerald, a retro game. The hardest one to beat, the one you will get your face burned off on, unless you EV train about 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 Pokemon, or about 9 Pokemon. Why is this important? What is EV training? IV training. Once you get into Pokemon, you can research this for yourself and understand what this means. Because you're going to have to breed the Pokemon from scratch. And then take about 10,000 steps if you're trying to breed a Salamence or a Metagross. Oh my God. Okay, that's not a fake number. 10,000 steps. You're going to need a macro bike, a mock bike. Okay, back to the point. So the point is, they throw out a Blaziken. Why is this important? Metagross is weak to fire and fighting types. Blaziken is a fire fighting Pokemon. So you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to switch out. If I throw out a firefight, if I throw out a Latios, I should be good to go. Because Latios can avoid this. Okay, the Blaziken does a fire blast. Your Latios, who's half immune to fire, takes half damage. So now he has 50% HP. Your Latios your Latios now uses Psychic, because it's strong against this Blaziken. You can give your Metagross Psychic, but a Psychic is spell power. Your Metagross is going to be using attack power. So if you Psychic this Blaziken, he's going to go down to 50% HP and then KO you, one hit you. This Blaziken knows Earthquake, Fire Blast, High Jump Kick. Okay, I know what's up. So then you're like, oh, I'm going to throw out Latios. The second Pokemon this trainer uses after your half HP Latios is almost dead is a fucking... Let me think. What does this trainer throw out? I could go from experience. Okay. This trainer throws out it makes it even funnier. This trainer throws out a Psychic Pokemon that has Shadow Balls. So now none of your spells are going to hurt this Psychic Pokemon. And he has spells that's going to one-hit you. So you're going to be like, oh, should I change Pokemon? Let me throw back out my Metagross. My Metagross is a Psychic Pokemon, but he's Steel, and he isn't affected by Ghost Pokemon like that. So it's only going to do normal damage. Okay? So he throws a Shadow Ball. But the Psychic he threw out can use Earthquake. Or perhaps he throws out another Pokemon, a Bug Pokemon with Earthquake. That's important because Latios can use Ice Beam, but it might one-hit him, but you're in a Battle Pike. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is, what did I start doing? I started using save states. I'll reset the whole wave of Pokemon, or I'll go back and see which moves he's going to use, because sometimes they use setup moves. If I know this Pokemon is going to use a couple Calm Minds or a Dragon Dance, I can KO it quick, switch to a Salamence, and do something else. It's all about strategy. But I just gave you those metaphors and scenarios to tell you Emerald was one of my favorite games. Why is that? Why do I love playing a game that's going to torment me and make me restart all over and do this over and over? Well, I don't know. Why is it the challenge? What do I get after I do all this? What, bragging rights? Why is Emerald now one of the highest on? Now we'll go to the card games, right? Everybody's in a Pokemon, right? You're as a kid, you're just playing the card game because no, whatever. It's the hottest thing ever. All right, that's over with. Now people are calling you gay for playing Pokemon. They're making fun of you. Oh, he likes Pokemon. He's a homo 2 years later. So nobody's playing Pokemon anymore. There, except those few people. You know what I'm talking about. So then 20 years go by. You want to get back into Pokemon again. But now you're looking at booster boxes and they're 450,000. You're like, man, I only like the original set. That's what I grew up with. That's the original. So then you're watching people, and I'm going to say something. I think a lot of this shit online, I think a lot of this shit in real life is fake. I'm going to make a statement real quick. Who are any of these rich people we see and know? Who are any of these people winning lotteries? Who are these people winning big events and major blah, blah, blah? What if these people aren't paid by the company to then give the money back to the company and it goes into the CEO's pockets? On the McDonald's, right? The McDonald's Monopoly game. Who's winning these prizes? You probably won some prizes, but have you won the 100,000? Have any of you won the million? When you win the lottery, if you're one of the humans or civilians that do win, how much of it do you got to give the government back? I think it's 60, 70% taxes. But billionaires don't pay taxes like that. To the card game. If you pay attention, Logan Paul just bought the most rarest card on the planet and sold half as an NFT, so where now it has to sit in a museum. And it's being paid for by half its fans. He put 2.5 million on it, and the fans paid 2.5 million or some shit like that. But then he's asking for donations and dividends and all kind of other shit. Basically, what they want you to do is to take your money and invest. That's what the stock market is. You're investing in a company that exists. So now what you're doing is you're taking your hard-earned money, making these people richer, making their stocks worth more money. And if they do fail because they probably piss off some elite or get kicked out of some firm, tell you how it works. Or they cheated the whole way there and then it was inflated. Then you're the one that loses money, right? You got to keep investing or inflation will smack you in the face. The Pokemon card game, paying to be tortured. So then I'll be watching these people open up online packs, and I think to myself, they be paying $350 per pack for jungle pack, original packs, jungle packs, and trainer packs, and and rocket power packs and fossil packs, and jungle packs. And I'll be thinking to myself, first of all, where are these boxes coming from? What's legit or not? The company itself could still be printing boxes, putting whatever on it, and playing. Do y'all know how stringent Nintendo is when it comes into making money? Do you not know they're taking away physical copies of games and then still charging $60 for digital copies that could be wiped or erased one day? Did you know I went to go play a lot of these games, Dragon Quest, beat it to the end, the game where I was fighting that Pope-looking dude that turned to a dragon and I had 4 players that were doing turn-based moves? Did you know when I got to the end of the game and got like 100 stats and shield, sword, all these different stats, I was flying through dungeons like, why is it so easy? What the fuck? You have to have DLC to get to the real in-game content. And the Nintendo store or the store that had that shit shut down. The Nintendo store that had all these Pokemon perks. So if I was to go buy one, a DS and all this shit, I still couldn't do it because the Nintendo store shut down. And I heard the Pokemon databases where you could catch a Pokemon, put it on a database on their servers, and have it all the way to the end of Pokemon, and it was still your Pokemon. You could withdraw it and all that shit. And actual Pokemon, they got rid of all that shit. People lost thousands of Pokemon, I think. I'm not sure if that last part is true. I have to do research on that. Paying to be tortured. Back to the Pokemon game. Now, these people are opening these packs. They go to get them graded. That's why they're doing it. They're not really into Pokemon like that. They're trying to get rich. They open these packs and they get these holographic Charizards. There's lines in the card. There's bins in the corners. There's lines in the back, specs on the cards. Taking the value from like $500,000 to like $800, $1,000. I don't trust none of this shit. It almost feels like the system as a whole, or capitalism as a whole, maybe America, whatever, the whole system, is like when you go to the claw machine, or when you go to the circus and play those games. and you're playing over and over, and you can't figure out why the claws are picking up the items or why you can't win nothing. It reminds me of that episode on South Park where they found those Terrence and Phillip dolls at the circus or at the fair, whatever it was. And Kyle calls shenanigans at the end. It's like being robbed continually. Or you go to the doctor, and the doctors are like, this is going to cure you. We need to do more tests. And they're doing all these tests, all these medications, spending thousands of surgeries, and then you end up healed. But a lot of times they tell you, we don't know what's going on, or but then they still get the credit with their experimental surgeries and medications and all this other shit. It feels like we're being fucking mind fucked. I promise you it does. Or even, who are these other humans around us? When they say all the time, we don't know how we got here. We're trying to remodel the Big Bang now because we don't. It feels like a. And what makes it even more interesting, money isn't real. I've said this many times. Money grows on trees just like food does. If you understand what I'm talking about. We're the value. You know, these Pokemon cards, certain generations ain't worth shit. Look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Now. Nobody's raving over Yu-Gi-Oh! The way they're raving over Pokemon. It's what internally we give interest to and we feel like we need. And then it's like, oh, I'll give this and that for it. Why do we pay to torture ourselves? It happens continually. Like, go out, guys do this. They go out and spend a fuck ton of money. They call it dating. The woman gets all this stuff. If he acts inappropriate in any way, oh, she could just act a nut. I'm not saying that, dudes have their choices, but you know how dudes are when it's time. And they just, good luck, didn't get lucky. And they do this over and over and over. Or they will forcefully get into a relationship, knowing it's not for them, and just be tormented. The divorce rate is like, what, 50% plus? These people, I watched this Christian lady. She said she was a Christian right-winger. And she was hardcore on the Trump and the conservative movement. But then she was pregnant. She ended up pregnant. She has other kids and has a husband. None of the doctors around her would touch it. Would nobody do an abortion? Would nobody help her? Here's why this is interesting. It was a fatal fetus, I think they call it. And it was poisoning her and killing her because the fetus was dead, but they wouldn't abort it. They said abort it out in the toilet, but it was actually literally killing her. And so I don't know how she got the procedure and I don't know what ended up happening, but she was all over social media talking about, she had conservative videos at first talking about, oh, I can't believe this ain't what I voted for you to kill me. The fetus ain't even alive. And I said, oh, the fetus ain't what? When you're dying, it ain't alive. When you're running your mouth at a fucking debate, it's a living child. But then you're taking all this money. I lost my medical. My kids and me lost my SNAP, my food stamps. Y'all just can't figure it out, huh? Paying to torture themselves. They always talk about picking yourself up from the bootstraps and do it the right way. But Americans are the most handicapped, crippled civilization I've seen in a long time, even though, they demand benefits, they demand rights, they demand this is going to happen, get off my lawn, they're not going to do this and that, blah, blah, blah. Then it happens, they start begging and pleading like children, paying to torture themselves. They want a system to where like, only the whites, only us, and everybody else around them is poor and tormented and they have the power to make them do everything. But then what would you do amongst yourselves? Then where would you get your power? Because then once we're ultimately outcast and it's just y'all, then who's going to get cast out? The red-haired gingers, the black-hairs who might have black DNA in them because they got black hair like us. The ones who ain't pale enough. Or they find pale as disgusting and pasty now, and the ones who don't got that perfect peach tan. Where y'all gonna take it? Are y'all gonna end up loving blondes, or is it going to turn into y'all love brown-haired people? But brown is too close to those other people, so maybe it might stick to blonde. How far does it go? How far has Trump gone? I don't understand why people pay to torture themselves. It's like literal psychological BDSM everywhere. Y'all know good and well, y'all sit here with one breath and say God is the ultimate mercy, love, peace. Then y'all torture yourselves with every other word that come out your mouths and say you're good because you're following this random God, imaginary God that you're creating in your minds. Paying to torment yourself. You pay the church, they sit up here and call y'all names and devils and demons and sinners and evil and then pay me. I'm going to get you to heaven. You're literally paying to torment yourself for 2 hours. Or then you got those churches that speak super nice and kind of sweet, but go against the pastor's word, go against the Pope's words. and see where all that kindness and merciness and sweetness goes. Pay them to torment yourselves. We go to work every fucking day and then spend money like it don't mean shit. Then you go, oh, I'm sick of this shit. All right, blah, blah, blah. And everybody else, blah, 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 and the boss, blah, blah, they'll go out and spend money on a vacation, go do this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Paying to torment ourselves. I don't understand why it's like that. And I've noticed this first with video games. There are video games that are and RPGs and games, especially MMORPGs, that take so much time, energy, and money. And people do this shit. I was playing a game called Whiteout Survival. And it's pure pay to win. You get a couple of daily quests which do nothing. And everybody else around you, and really the people around you are just spending multitudes of money. I mean, this one dude spent $20,000 and then quit the game. He said he's having family issues and all sorts of stuff. One of the most famous people on the server because he flew up there. His score was high. And then quit the game. Another dude, acting like the sweetest, kindest dude at first, found out he had some kind of money, flew above everybody, and started acting like a psycho. No, a literal psycho. A sociopath. Telling people what was going to happen, creating rules, mowing over people, kicking them out of the, this is called like a napkin or alliance or something like that. Just foul people. Kind when they ain't on the board. When they get up there, turn into foul people. Pam, they were tormented first, and now it's their turn to torment everybody else. Now they're at the top, it seems like. I don't know. You can talk to many people, and they'll tell you, they'll break down eventually. If you're the therapist or a certain friend of them, and they can finally console you, then they'll go right back out there and act a nuts. Oh, I got to get back out there and be cold too. I don't understand why we're like that. You know what I mean? Parents will treat their children like shit all these years. Then when they get older, my children never visit me. My children never come at the nursing home. My children, you don't get a free pass to act like an asshole and then expect people to like you. So I don't know. I'm trying to change. Because just like a Pokemon, my old self would have said, no, that's cheating. Okay, so I'll give you, and a lot of people do this. They take fantasies and then take them like real and be like, I see people talking about like Avatar or like random video games or they do DC, Marvel, and Dragon Ball Z a lot. And talk about this person can't do this or that. Blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. It's a fantasy cartoon. But I would tell myself, no, that's cheating. You're going back to see what's under. Oh. No, it's not cheating. I put in the work to make these Pokemon powerful. I put in the work to do this shit. But at the Battle Pike, I might do the rest legit. Or maybe the Battle Pike and the Battle Factory where you have to pick 3 random Pokemon and they send out 3 Pokemon that are against your type because they know your type, the AI does. They'll do something to where you can one-hit a Pokemon, they'll make your first 2 moves miss, have you hit with a Toxic or a Leech Seed, then use Protect 7 times and have it not fail. No. And so my Pokemon one-hit everything, but then they do sneaky, weird shit. Like you walk into another room, and this man can't control his Pokemon and runs up to you and freezes all 3 of them. Then they'll give you a hard trainer to fight with 3 frozen Pokemon. No, so I avoid that door. I'm not stupid. Is that cheating? Do you know why companies do this? Because once you get a game, you want to beat it. And then once you beat it, you can brag because of how hard it was. Then once you brag, that word of mouth spreads throughout the world. And then once other people beat it, they can do it too. But none of this shit is real. It's cool to have a challenge, but it's all capitalism. Do you know why the arcades were so hard back in the day and why those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were impossible to beat? 2 lives with like 20 levels, unless you put in a cheat code. Come on, dude. Capitalism. You keep putting them quarters in more and more and more. It's like the circus when you throw the ball at that thing and it don't fully knock over, or you can't seem to knock over all the water in those prize games where you have the gun and you're shooting at it. Why? So you can play over and over and over. Spend more money. I've given up a lot of games. There was a point in time where I was only playing Left 4 Dead. Now I'm playing a retro Pokemon Emerald on an emulator. Left 4 Dead on my old Xbox 360. And I'm going to get that game back again. That game was goated. Stuff where I can entertain myself and it doesn't cost money. Because capitalism and inflation, because first of all, inflation is happening because of elitism and capitalism. Because what ends up happening is people make things more money And then once it costs more money, the people at the bottom who aren't getting paid more money have to spend more money. When these people are all dead and gone, the rich aren't going to have shit. When they try to go to another country. Okay, so I'll give you an example. How do we treat the French and the Germans now and these people from other countries, North Korea and all these other countries? See how they're treating them? Now, you rich elites are thinking you're going to go to another country and do this shit. You're marked. You're known. There's social media. That's why they don't want their names in the media. But people already know who you are and what you are. You're just going to show up at a random country after America fell, and then you're going to fuck their country up too. Before you let these people in your countries, look at India. What happened after Britain colonized India? India was beautiful. Then people were not dirt. Like, y'all don't understand how they're flipping these nations and cultures. And then these people defend these cultures. You ever see somebody afterwards be like, man, this game's impossibly hard. Weak, noob, get good. Get one hit. You suck. These people spending thousands of dollars and they're playing a game and cheating. I watched this one man do, they call it a no percent speed run. What they do is they can go into the game of Pokemon. Like I told you, they have algorithms and codes to once you go into a battle, or they already have the code set up. So if you reset the game, you're going to miss every time you reset it. So what you do is you do another move or you know, something like that. These people can manipulate the code to where they wait a certain amount of seconds. It's a whole program. There's videos about it. It's called No Percent Speed Runs Pokemon Emerald or some shit like that. And they have code alongside with the code that's playing, and they can manipulate the code like catch a Rayquaza or a Latios with a regular Pokeball type shit, or give it the perfect stats, or create a perfect hidden move. I'm telling you. Or hidden power, it's called. And so I just my idea of certain things like cheating on video games, if you're in a competition and there's rules and stuff, nah, fuck all that. That's bullshit. You're not gonna cheat. That's cheating. But if you're at home playing an RPG, even if it's online, I played Order and Chaos and got a lot of videos on it. And a lot of times the way we got that armor, because it was impossible. This is what they do. They create the dungeons to where the in-game gear drops in the dungeon, but you need the in-game gear to do the dungeon. How does that make fucking sense? So we would stand on this pillar and the boss couldn't attack us, and the DPS would stand under it and the tank would hit it and use the spell taunt, and they would DPS it. And at the end you jump down and it was the wall glitch. You jump all the way up this mountain. It's stuff like that that make it fun too, because then you're exploring and learning. But at the same time, like I said, if it's like an online game where you're doing competitions, it's levels to this shit. And I mean, shit. It's all about what a person's willing to do, I guess. I don't like cheating and stuff like that. But if like I'm playing Pokemon Emerald, I'm not competing in the real world in like Emerald game and like tournaments and stuff. And so I reset when playing at the Battle Pike sometimes. Shit, I can make it to where I can reset the whole thing to where before I even go into that level, train up some more or switch some shit around and go back in and dominate it. I didn't do that with the Battle Pyramid, but I did it with the Battle Pike. You're not finna send me in there on some random luck shit after spending so much on a video game. That's why I like emulators. You can control fate. But, you know, don't listen to me say certain things. And I tell people, don't manipulate my words and try to cheat certain things you shouldn't be. I'm just saying in terms of video games, I'm not going to be tormented. And if a video game is ridiculous, like Whiteout Survival, I'll spend a little bit of money on the game. And then I cut that shit off. A friend actually told me, he said he was going to take out a loan of $10,000, catch this dude named, I forgot what his name is. That's how forgettable he is, and miserable. And he said, "How much have you spent?" So I know what to do. And I looked at my financial records, and I was like, "Nope." I cut out video game spending. I cut out access of buying this stuff, and I still smoke cigarettes and I eat food, but I'm keeping it down. And I haven't been going out the way I have before. I mean, just simple shit like going out on the town and buying and spending a bunch of shit at Walmart, or buying and spending a bunch of shit at Target or Kroger's, a bunch of comfort food, knowing I shouldn't be getting bagels and cream cheese and Lucky Charms and, you know what I'm saying, just acting a nut at the store. And so, yeah, I lost. And this was ironic about me losing some benefits at the DHS office. When they looked at my paycheck stub, they want you to bring in 2 paycheck stubs. But they had my paycheck stubs on the computer. That's this new system now, the way they have your records. Well, then when I brought in my paycheck stub, it was the same as what I brought in. But she said, you have 3 overtime hours. I had 80 hours plus 3 hours. The reason I have those 3 hours is because, like I tell you, people come in late all the time. So I should have like 75 hours because breaks. That goes all the way to 83 hours from them being late every day. And it coming out to like 7, 8 hours, a full day of overtime from them being late. Them motherfuckers said I had 83 hours, said 1,700 gross pay every 2 weeks was too much. That's 3,400 a month. Because of how much overtime I make outside of those two check stubs, fortunately, that I had, it ends up being up close to like 50,000. I get a lot of fucking overtime. They bitched about it for a while. I told you on the camera, but I got it back. Because now they're asking me to work random days. And even if I don't work overtime, these people are so late that it just evens out every day. You look at an hour at a 14-day pay period. That's 2 overtime days. Okay, let me chill out. And then they ask you to work a day with a bonus. You're looking at damn near $2,000 plus taxes and stuff. That's like almost $50,000 a year. But the point is, and a lot of people are afraid to talk finances. I'm not. I like to be transparent about certain things. There are things I like to keep private in my life, but I don't give a damn about capitalism. I see how they're robbing people with their monopolies and then I'll see them virtue signaling. We donated food. You go to food drives, the food is expired. I'm telling you it is. It's what they couldn't sell. And then look at how many times Congress increases their pay. You guys are voting for this constantly instead of anarchy. And then they won't give you guys more than $750. It's because you're not the ones putting them in office. Their constituents and donors are. These donors try to be secret and private, but they're outed everywhere, especially in the age of technology. So like I said, it's better for them to do the right thing. Or it'd be better for Congress and them to cut out the elites like these different socialist countries do and let them know they are under the law too. And if they move to another country, they just be going to a socialist country. And they will get fucked. They go to Europe and they're not going to get the parliament in Europe to change their laws. And Europe is going under right now. So choice is yours, man. You can either figure it out and start to help humanity, or it can get worse and worse. And when humanity rises, you all can get put in their purse. She likes to listen to me talk.